Alright, good afternoon everyone. Selamat sore. Oke, kita kedatangan, salam kenal sebelumnya. Aku Vanbul dari Invipop, part of Invia Group. Saya Lalats, Volix, Dagelan, dan kawan-kawan. So, kali ini akan membantu the discussion dengan 3 orang keren. Kita akan ngomongin soal the future of creativity, gitu. Karena kayaknya when we are talking about the future of creativity is a very, kalau tadi Mas Gemi mention, scary, yet exciting, yet very confusing as well. So, bareng sama aku di sini ada Mas William, co-founder dari IDN, Mas Gemi, CMO dari KG Media, dan Mas Kevin, founder dari Biden, gitu. So before we start the discussion, I think I want to ask one questions to all of you guys. So the question is, I think ketika kita ngomongin soal trends, lately kita berpikir bahwa trend itu focusing on something yang viral on the internet. Dan sesuatu yang viral on the internet itu tuh menjadi, kalau kita nyebut, ada salah satu research yang bilang bahwa the younger generation sekarang ngadepin yang namanya the paradox of choice and informations. Pusing. What kind of virality that we have to choose, that we have to put our attention, right? And then it makes the new version of trends is actually looking for something deeper than virality. So the questions for all of you, menurut kalian nih ya, dari industri tech, dari legacy media, dan juga dari youth focus platform, what is the single most disruptive behavioral shift that you see in Indonesia yang akan berubah dalam mendefinisikan kreativitas? Mungkin kita mulai dari Kak William dulu.
Hello everyone. Happy belated Easter, Minal Aidin wal Faizin for everyone. My name is William from IDN, and it's a great honor to be on this stage with my seniors and my mentors, Mas Gemi, Kevin, Vanbul. Vanbul is the face of Gen Z in Indonesia. He lost 20 kilos training for High Rocks. So yes, the question is, what is the single most disruptive for the future of creativity? I think the most disruptive is speed. So speed is the new creativity. That's the way we see it internally, and I think it's true everywhere. Long gone the days where creativity, we need to create ideas, it takes 2 weeks, 4 weeks just to create something. But now everything is very, very fast, and we need to be able to adapt to it, or else we will be left behind. So for us, and I think it's true for a lot of people, speed is the new creativity.
Very interesting. Thank you, Will. Mas Gemi.
Okay. Hello everyone. My name is Gemi. I'm from KG Media. So because William said I'm a senior, so it's meaning I'm old. So because I'm old, I can share some learning from what happened with journalism and media. So the learning that I have is this, okay? So when a big tech and dominating platform become a new normal, like AI, right? What we learned from decades ago, the same thing with when search is dominating the world. So because I think journalism and media also working on the space of creativity, so I think we can learn something from that. So what we learn is that when a big dominating global tech become a new normal, like right now, AI is a new normal, right? Everybody's using it. Young people is like, I think they were born with AI, so it's a new normal. When that thing happens and it's dominating, I think what we want to avoid in terms of creativity is that global standardization of creativity. So what happened with media mainstream in journalism when this kind of dominating technology become new normal is that we have globally standardized content. And what we want to avoid is commoditized content, right? So what we want to avoid in terms of creativity is we see all creative works will be similar. We don't want to see all the creative works will be boring. And at the end of the day, it commoditized, meaning the value is dropping because everybody doing the same thing. I think the learning from my experience in media is that we want to avoid that for creativity. So meaning that we have to find, so right now we are in a critical phase when creative community like us have to determine where is our position as human being in this AI-driven world? Where is the position of core creativity? So in the future, in near future, the creative work is not commoditized. I think that's what we learned. So we need to working hard, I think, to avoid that commoditization of creativity. So I think that will be changing the way creative people work in the future. I'm not saying AI is bad. We have to work with AI. But I think we don't want to be standardized for each market. You have to have our own core identity in this world of AI. Thank you.
Thank you, Mas. I think ketika kita ngomongin AI gitu ya, well, it's a very exciting yet scary, especially us, the media industry. I think we cannot avoid to adopt AI gitu ya, but at the same time, the discussion will be about the ethics and also the playbooks that we have to adapt and also apply within our company. Okay, Mas Kevin, since your company working sangat dekat dengan AI, so what is your thoughts about it?
Thank you, Mas Vanbul. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin. I'm building a new company called ByteDance. So what is ByteDance? So we are building an AI video producer for a long-form content. Normally, you need a video producer to produce like content, movie, ads. So now we are building a layer where our AI can orchestrate all the process to build a long-form content up to 30 minutes. So back to the questions. I think what is most exciting is that I've been in the industry for close to 20 years, from the agency side, from the brand side. Now I'm building a platform, right? I think, to be honest, this is now the most exciting wave of a business transformation due to AI. So from my standpoint, working like in brand and agency, we can only prioritize 2 out of 3 when it comes to the project triangle, which is cost, speed, and budget, right? If you want speed and high quality, the budget must go up, right? And if you have low budget and you expect high quality, the timeline will be very long, right? So now AI really break this paradigm because you can create a high quality at faster speed with a fraction of cost. So it eliminates everything. Now I think it's really exciting, and this will require like brand, IP, media to reapproach how to create and define the new game plan for everyone.
Menarik. Nanti ada yang akan di-show kan? Sesuatu yang menarik?
Yeah, with the permission of Mas Gemi.
Alright. So I think kalau ngomongin kreativitas, actually first of all sorry for the Jaksel stage ini, mix between English and bahasa. So soalnya suka kadang-kadang ngeblank ngomong bahasa Inggris. I think when we were talking about the AI implementation of creativity, there are like 3 points here. Whether it's for executing, which is ini bisa nge-eskalasi ataupun bisa nge-scale up the productions, by speed, by cost, by the numbers of quantities gitu ya. And the second one is the coordinating, which is masih mix gitu ya, between the human and the AI. And the third one, I think this is something yang nggak bisa digantikan, which is, menurut aku adalah judgment and context. Yang itu adalah creative direction itself yang masih harus digerakkan oleh manusia. Oke, aku punya pertanyaan ke masing-masing panelis di sini. I will start from you, Mas William. So, I think IDN tuh udah berapa tahun ya? 13? 12 tahun. Dulu jadi epicentrumnya millennials. Sekarang Gen Z dan soon Gen Alpha juga kayaknya. Udah masuk ke Gen Alpha juga?
Have to.
Have to. It's so hard to learn about Gen Alpha though.
6, 7.
Alright, so according to your latest research about these generations gitu ya. Di sini banyak teman-teman dari brand. Menurutmu Mas, apa yang brand harus adapt dan perhatikan terhadap 3 layer generasi yang semuanya berbeda semua nih. Dan mungkin banyak produk yang mereka mentarget beberapa segmen yang actually memang berbeda gitu. Dan bagaimana ya tadi kita ngomongin soal creativity gitu. Dulu kita ngomongin soal virality dan fokusnya adalah brand-led advertising. Sekarang lebih ke UGC, lebih ke creator, lebih ke community gitu. So, what's your thought about it?
Just to recap, I think the question was for the brands in here that are growing with the audience and now they want to refresh the audience, so younger
Yes.
ones, how do they approach it?
Yes.
The way we see it, the brand value should never change, but yes, target audience, target consumer change. That's why we have to change the way we communicate and the way we speak to them. I think the underlying principle, which I'm sure each and everyone are approaching it this way, is be where the customers are. So I think it's quite simple. Learning from Coachella, I'm referring to Coachella because my feed is 90% Coachella because it's the biggest thing in the US. If you are targeting Gen Z lifestyle brand, then you want to be at Coachella, right? You know who's the main apparel partner at Coachella?
Who?
The main apparel brand partner, main sponsor brand, apparel sponsor in Coachella. Any guesses?
I didn't reckon.
Gap.
Gap?
Gap. Yes. Gap needs no further introduction, yet they are still at Coachella. You know
Wow.
which personal care brand that has presence in Coachella? Dove. Dove needs no further introduction, yet Dove still has presence in Coachella. Why? Because they know the customers are there, and marketing principle 101, be where the customers are. So I think it's the same case in Indonesia. If you want to target Gen Z, you want to target the lifestyle area of the Gen Z, then you have to have presence at Pesta Pora, because it is where the customers are. If you are selling a more premium product, 300,000 rupiah and above, higher income customer, you want to be at Fortune, because it is where the customers are. What other examples? You want to target people like Fanbul. You want to target Jaksel people. You want to be cool. Then you have to have activation at M Block. There's no other best place than M Block in doing activation targeting Jaksel customers. So I think referring back to the questions, if we want to refresh our target customer, your value will never change. It's just the way you communicate should change, and the platform that you are trying to attract customers should adapt to where the customers are. So be where the customers are.
Very interesting, boleh tepuk tangan buat Mas William. Tadi kita di stage juga cerita tentang how the wellness industry is actually changing the whole thing about how we do marketing. So with Hyrox, with running competition and etc. I think that's how brands should be as well, karena trennya lagi ke sana. So, thank you Mas William. Mas Kevin. Ini sekarang ya, when we are talking about IP development, the cost, the process, and etc. It's a very expensive and very capek gitu ya. Karena akan sangat banyak effort yang harus dikembangkan gitu. Dan Biden sendiri sekarang hadir gitu ya. Belum launch ya?
We have a private beta already, but we are launching next month.
Next month. Nice. Oke. Boleh tahu gak sih kayak the creative process behind Biden and then actually what you guys do with the technology and also the team within the Biden?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
So basically, first, adding to what I explained about we are building AI video producer for a long form content. We have a 3 target market. The first one is a content creator. So we help content creator automate their content creation process. Second one is brand, in which brand requires some content for their social media, for their snack bite content, and the third one is IP, in which IP will continuously generate content for their IP, right? So we cater to all these 3 different markets. So I think back to your questions, I with permissions from Mas Gemi, we have been doing a prototype actually for the legendary IP, which is probably most of you know Bobo, which is the legendary kids IP, and we mostly read the comic when we were in a childhood time. So basically, we are going to rejuvenate Bobo into digital channels. And what we do is that for a brand or an IP, we are building what we call an asset anchoring. We train our AI to understand specific brand guideline, specific character. Like in a Bobo case, we introduce 5 different characters of Bobo. And we give the design of this is gonna be the kitchen of Bobo, this is gonna be the playground, the living room, and all that. Once we set up this asset anchoring, so the creative person that create the narrative just need to give us a script.
Right.
What we need is just an idea of a content. And then our engine will start building the mood board, the storyboard, until the end result of the video in a matter of minutes. I think it's easier to just showcase what we have been working on together. So we are going to launch the channel of Bobo content, in which we'll have a lot of short form story, like 4 to 5 minutes per episode. But due to time constraint, we will just condense it into 1 minute. But I think we can show it to you guys, like how in a matter of minutes we build this video content once the asset anchoring of the brand is done. Maybe I need help from the operator. Thank you.
Emak, kertasnya habis lagi.
Bagaimana kalau kita buat kertas sendiri dari kertas bekas? Oke, sekarang kita kumpulkan dulu bahan-bahannya. Langkah pertama, sobek kertas jadi potongan kecil supaya mudah hancur.
Sekarang kita rendam sekitar 15-30 menit.
Supaya lebih halus, kita blender sebentar.
Nah, di sini bentuk kertasnya mulai terlihat.
Tekan perlahan supaya airnya keluar.
Kita tunggu sampai benar-benar kering.
Hore, sudah jadi. Kita hemat dan bantu menjaga bumi.
Yuk, coba juga di rumah. Jangan lupa minta bantuan orang tua ya.
So I think this is a demonstration what I meant by we can create a high quality content with a faster speed at the fraction of the cost once brand or IP finish their asset anchoring with us. What they need is just dump a script and we build the whole video. Thank you.
Wow, boleh tepuk tangan sekali lagi buat Mas Kevin. I feel nostalgic ya. It's been a while nggak lihat Bobo. And I think the way you elaborated, I see the way AI is actually empowering creativity, right? So thank you so much, Mas Kevin, for your presentation. So, Mas Gemi, sebagai coming from the legacy media, KG Media ya, I think you have the ecosystem of data, the ecosystem of the traditional to digital storytelling. Penasaran bagaimana sih sebenarnya KG Media evolving dengan tren ataupun inovasi yang ada sekarang, tapi tetap ensure bahwa trust itu menjadi competitive advantage-nya KG Media. Dan avoid yang namanya sekarang eranya synthetic content, which is something that you mentioned before, and also misinformations.
Okay, thank you. I think for KG Media, this is maybe our how many waves of disruption that we have as a legacy media. Maybe 5, 6. So right now we're slept 3 times a day, maybe, especially by AI. But I think our partnership with Biden is one of the proof that we don't hate AI. So what happened was we've been dominating by technology for decades. We're following the way they works, how the algorithm works. So we've been commoditized for decades. So that's why the value of content is dropping. So we've learned from that. So right now with the AI disruption, what we learn is that we have to go back to our core as media. So we go back to our core as a journalist, as a content creators. I think we strengthen our human capital in terms of journalists and also the management and people behind it. So everybody always say that media company always sit on a bunch of data, right? You are sitting in a gold mine. That's what people always say. Yes, but right now it's meaningless because what we need now is to understand the human behind that numbers. Because with AI, I think what we are looking for as a media company is that we're no longer seeking for how many page views that people will read, but how many people responding to our content. So we need more emotion in our stories. We need to understand people's emotions. We need to understand our readers' emotion. So it's hard for us. We have millions of data, but our homework is that identifying the human behind those numbers, right? And how their emotions state at certain time of day. So that's what we are working on right now. So go back to the core. So right now, if you come to I think any media companies now, you come to media companies now, you won't see a regular media company with just creating content in website or in TV or print. You will see a bunch of business models in media company because we are seeking for more business model right now. So you will see a company with production services. You will see media company with research services. You will see media company with a team of IP developer. IP development team. In our case, Bobo, yes. So right now we are pretty much focusing to develop our own IPs. Bobo is just one example. So Bobo is our existing IP, which we are pushing quite aggressively. That's why we're partnering with Biden. We also have another interesting project with Volare with Dana. We're creating a Bobo world in Roblox. Wow! So that's soon to be, hopefully, soon to be launched. So we're pushing our IP more because that's what. So I think culture is the most important for us at the moment. So our unique selling point is how can we understand more about our culture, and IP is the tools to emphasize that our knowledge about our culture. So we are pushing more IPs through our program, our existing IP. So you will see a lot of business model in media company right now. It's not just distributing distributing content, but also creating IDs. So our focus in that area at the moment. So hopefully you will see a lot of media companies now operating not in a single business model like advertising. We all love advertising, but for media company, advertising is a hard space to operate at the moment. So we are looking more another additional business model, especially IP.
Thank you Mas Gemi. Boleh tepuk tangan buat Mas Gemi? I think IP is the new oil ya, currently.
So we need more partners to develop IP.
I think itu. Dan enaknya IP mau dikeruk kayak gimana pun makin banyak kekayaan yang bisa didapatin. Okay, so I'll go to the final questions. I think anyway, if any audience want to answer this question, also you can. So the question will be about what is the non-negotiable creative investment that a brand must make in order to grow in the next 24 months? I mean, the next 24 months gak lama, itu cepat, and we'll have a lot of like AI developments and a lot of things will going on as well. So, ada yang mau jawab dari audience? Atau, oke, mau siapa duluan yang jawab?
For us, the question is, what is the non-negotiable creative investment that we must do?
Yes.
I believe we can invest in the AI tools, which we are doing, everyone is doing. I believe we can invest in everything, but it goes back to the mindset that we believe in marketing, be where the customers are, and speed. Speed of ideation, speed of production, speed of execution, and then speed of review. So I think the best, I don't know if this is a non-answer, but the best investment that you can do is be where the customers are and having that speed and conviction.
Thank you. And then tadi di backstage juga you mentioned something interesting. This is the era of whether full AI or full analog. And then you mentioned about
It will be an AI-empowered analog. Right?
AI-empowered analog.
Yes.
Very interesting. Boleh tepuk tangan buat Mas William? Boleh? Mau dari Mas Kevin?
Yeah, I think adding to that, I think that's a very good term, yeah, AI-empowered analog. But I think what the brand or the agency really need to understand, to push, like understand what AI can do. I think it's because every month, the leapfrog of what AI can do is very massive, right? Need to understand what Google Veo can do, Seedance can do, Nano Banana can do, and all that. Once you really understand each of it, then you can know what's the possibility. Because in 2023, AI is nowhere today. And at that time, I worked at Tokopedia. In order to build like a very nice video, it will require month, right? And now that those same quality of content, we can do it in a matter of 1 to 2 days. So I think that's a very big gap, right? And if you don't really understand and don't really align with where the tools and what the tools can do, I think you will have a disadvantage in your business in terms of cost saving, in terms of speed, and in terms of the quality that can be achieved versus your competitor.
Agree. Thank you, Mas Kevin. I think I want to add something on that as well. So in my company, we actually try to implement AI in the past 2 months. Within the Dagelan, we have 24 million followers on Instagram. And something that interesting is actually within 2 weeks of implementation, we can increase around 40 to 50% of organic views, which actually the thing that AI helps itu hal yang paling simple. Cuma ngasih sinyal what's actually trending and what's actually the Dagelan audience want to see. Something that actually my team or our team can spend hours to signaling that. So thank you, Mas Kevin. Mas Gemi.
Okay, I think I took a bit different path. So while I think speed and what William said and Kevin said is really important and necessary, I think we need also to invest in time and patience. I think we need to understand the trajectory of our brand in the next 5 or 10 years among the whole chaotic worlds of AI and speed and everything else. So I think what we miss to do, even in my company, we are busy with this speed and daily tasks and quarterly review and stuff. So I think we need to invest in time to understand the trajectory of my brand in the next 5 or 10 years among this whole thing. Because
Right,
it will
right.
be different. I think again what I want to avoid is that the commoditization of my brand
Right.
because of this global phenomenon. That's what I will invest. So I will invest in time. Be patient. I know it's hard. I know the shareholder will ask you every single week, but I think we need to invest in time to understand the whole thing.
Thank you, Mas Gemi. All right. So I think want to add something as well on Mas Gemi point. So actually in Vpop and also other homeless media, mungkin di sini nyebutnya homeless media ya. Even though we are not homeless, and actually homeless media is a very Indo term. I've tried to research about it and it's only in Indonesia. So we created like Indonesia New Media Forum. So it consists of 50 new media including Vocative, USS, Creative Fox, Volix, JNFI, Indozone. Since we cannot terdaftar di Dewan Pers, jadi we create our own alliance lah. And then anyway, dan dalam sebulan, us actually generating 4 to 5 billion views in a month. But the question is, what's next? Because the 4 to 5 billion views, it's good if we want to market our brands. It's good if we want to put the narrative out there in a digital world. But it's actually bad for the audience if we cannot maintain the ethical and also the framework that we have to do, especially in the AI era. So thank you Mas Gemi for mentioning about time and value as well. So mungkin aku kasih forum, ada yang mau bertanya. So panitia, we have like 1 or 2 questions. 1 questions probably. 2 masih bisa. Ada yang mau bertanya? Yes, please. Boleh. Kakak dari mana dan siapa?
Halo Mas Vanbul, perkenalkan saya Lucky dari Rakyat Indonesia.
Siap.
Mas Gimi. Okay, I think I was reflecting back from our first session earlier today up until now. I think you bring a very interesting point on speed. Speed in terms of execution, in terms of doing things. Tapi yang jadi pertanyaan that I would like to throw back in the forum adalah what can we do to measure? Gitu, karena we're creating contents at the speed of light, if we want to call it that way. But let's not forget how to measure them. Gitu. Probably actually what I'm keen to understand is, ada nggak nih research agency yang put a step forward and punya different type of measure, the way we measure the contents. I mean, if PTR is no longer a correct way to measure the effectiveness of our content, then what will be it? Gitu. So probably that, because yes, we're talking about millions of contents, hundreds of contents, tapi kalau kita nggak bisa bring back to leadership team that this is how we do things nowadays, creating thousands of contents, and the numbers doesn't speak in that way, and then what's next for us gitu kan? Gitu sih.
Very good questions. Mau dari siapa menjawab?
Yes, thank you for the question. But what is the metric that we should measure? I think the only ultimate metric, there's only one, right? Sales. The actual sales of the brands, if we do marketing. Then there comes the secondary metric, number of views, number of engagement, and others. But ultimately, the number one metric would be the actual product sales. That is my humble opinion.
Yeah, just to add, I think sales is at the end of the funnel, but there is the engagement funnel and also awareness funnel. I think, of course, normally, for example, like just put one medium, which is social media, right? Which social media can serve awareness, engagement, and sales funnel. But when it comes to with the AI content, right, at the fraction of the cost, like normally when you have a hero campaign, hero content of like a very video that you bet can viral, right? In which that similar cost, you can actually, inside of one content, you can actually create 20 content at the same cost. So you have 20 times more opportunity to grow the funnel. I think those are the thing that I strongly believe when it comes to measurement, each of the company already have its own measurement in place. But AI is actually creating an unfair level playing field for those that use AI to grow the top funnel down to eventually impact to the last funnel, which is sales.
Thank you, Mas Kevin. Mas Gemi, mau nambahin?
Yeah, I think, in the end of the day, sales, it's about sales, right? In the end of the day, it's about business. But I think what I see for me is that more and more content based on speed is for short-term sales, which is easy to measure. I think the question more to what is the quality content, how to measure quality content. I think what I see less and less now, people measuring brand building. We understand brand building from years and years ago, but I think less and less people now try to build, because it needs time, it needs patience, right? And we don't have patience right now, right? So I think we need to be brave enough to try to measure longer time to build brand, because I think the quality of content will relate to how your brand stand out in a longer term. I think for me, for example, I also the easiest way to measure when you take out all the discount and everything else on your sales is people still buy your product. That's how you brand strength, right? So I think that's how you measure. And a lot of brand building measurement there in the market. I think we just have to separate between short-term sales and also brand building, which is quite different way to measure, and you need more patience and time to build a brand.
Right. So sales, the opportunity to get more engagement by increasing the quantities and also the brand building. Something interesting about the brand building itself. I met brand owners from China a few months ago, and then they mentioned something that really interesting. The China is actually 5 to 10 years ago, they are focusing on performance marketing, right? To push to sales, but most of them are forgetting about the brand building. And then actually right now, those who survive dan thriving adalah mereka yang 5 to 10 years ago investing as well di brand building. Oke, I think waktu sudah habis, betul? Boleh kasih tepuk tangan buat 3 panelis kita. Thank you so much Mas William, Mas Gemi, dan Mas Kevin for the presentation.